So today we're talking about what happens if you own a home and then you get a trust, and a couple things around that. So first of all, what happens with the mortgage? Second of all, what happens if you go to sell it, let's say a week later? So let's start with selling the property, right? Or what happens on the back end with the trust?
Okay, that's a big question.
I know, there's so many questions in one. This is the problem when you have really wonderful professionals that really know their jobs, and you're a person like me that asks a lot of questions. I want all the questions out all at once and all the answers.
And I'll try and pick it apart and
Thank
answer
you.
thoroughly. Okay, so great. So you've bought your house, and now you've met with your attorney and you've created a trust.
Right.
That attorney should be doing what's called funding by putting your house into the trust. They'll create a deed where you grant the house from yourself as the grantor to yourself as the trustee of the trust.
Okay.
And so now you're the grantee on that deed.
Okay.
So now it is in the name of the trust. It's titled in the trust as the deed. And now if you look it up, that's where it's going to be. And it's going to have you guys as the trustee.
Now, is that something that we as the trustee need to file, or is that something as the attorney files?
The attorney is going to record that with Maricopa County for you if they're worth their salt. And I can't imagine there would be one out there that wouldn't do that. That seems like such a basic thing. So I'm going to say all attorneys are going to do that piece.
Let's just assume attorneys are going to do that.
Okay.
And on our end, it does show up as the trust under the deed with the name of the trustee on the back end.
All right, so great. So now your house is in your trust. Fabulous.
Perfect.
Now, let's say the mortgage rates just dropped. Now you want to refinance.
Oh, that happened. That happened.
That happens. There are a handful of really great mortgage companies that don't care that it's in the trust, and they'll just refinance and leave it in there.
Perfect.
There are also, I would say, the great majority that are going to say what you have to do is transfer it back to yourself out of the trust, refinance, transfer it back to the trust.
Ooh.
So it's an extra couple set of deeds. It'll cost you a couple $100. You have to decide at that point, okay, are you really going to save any money if you're doing that? Or you call and ask for a great mortgage company recommendation.
We
and
have
you get
great
you to
mortgage company
someone that will put
recommendations.
in
Yes.
Yes.
And I just have to throw out shout out for Fairway Mortgage
they're one.
in this. They are
do
fantastic.
It. They will keep it in the trust. They're one of the few I know of that consistently will keep it in the trust for the refi. So that's fantastic. All right, now let's say.
So real quick on that. So when you're actually getting the trust and you own the house in your name, at that point, should you be contacting the mortgage company?
That's a really great question. Okay, so because this is a revocable living trust that we're presuming we're talking about here, that's the normal, okay? It is just you, again, passing that $10 bill to yourself,
Right.
creating this trust. So it's really just you, the same as it was before. Most mortgage companies are going to recognize that, and it's not really a problem to put your house in the trust, but it's not a bad idea to play it safe and call your mortgage company before you put the house in the trust, just to make sure that they're not going to get all crazy and try to call the loan. It has happened once or twice. It's very rare. In general, they all get revocable living trusts these days, but every once in a while you'll hear of these crazy things. More likely to happen if you're trying to transfer to an LLC. That's a whole different thing. We're not talking about that in this segment.
Not yet. Stay tuned. And what she's kind of talking about, most mortgage companies have what they call a dual and sale clause. So what they're assuming is that you've sold the property to this new entity, but that's not the case. Like she said, you're just changing one hand to the other. So it's a matter of paperwork. It's a matter of knowing your mortgage company, knowing how they think. Make sure you read your contracts, and if you don't like to read your contracts, please call Heidi and have her explain them to you. But be careful of those dual and sell clauses, especially if you're in the world of investing. It does have significance when you're looking at changing paperwork and different things. It just is a real thing.
Super important legal idea.
It's happened once or twice, not to me, but to definitely people that I know. When there's lots of situations where the due on sale clause can become due from the mortgage company. So it's just something that one part of your mortgage document you definitely need to read no matter what, especially if you're looking at potentially investing.
I agree. Please fantastic. So now you've got the house. It's in the trust. Everything's good. Your mortgage company was one of the normal ones. They knew what they were doing. Your house is in the trust, and lo and behold, you found a house you like better. You're going to buy it. You're going to sell your house.
I mean, with the way the market's going this year, it's not an impossibility.
It totally can happen. In general, you're going to be able to sell that right out from the trust directly when you sell the house. You'll just be signing next to your name instead of just your name. You're going to put comma trustee. Really, that'll probably be the only thing. Your realtor might be able to help you with that. If they can't, then they should be dealing with the title company who should be able to walk them through that. And if they can't, that's where we come in. So,
yes. And you would be surprised how often it happens where the name, the deed is held in a trust account and the realtors are having people just sign their name with nothing else, not trustee, not anything else. So from a legal perspective, what does that really mean? Because it happens all the time.
It depends on how picky the person is that's reviewing the paperwork.
Oh.
That very much lands with, I'll say at this point, it's generally going to be the title company. A really good title company is going to question that and is going to make it be re-signed or corrected. If it passes through, it might just be harmless error because, again, it's a revocable living trust. It's you, $10 in one hand, passing your $10 to the other hand. It really isn't someone else.
Okay.
Same thing when you have your money in your trust account. You created a checking account and you decided you're going to buy something from your trust. If you just sign the check as you and not put trustee, it's probably harmless error.
Okay.
Best practice is you would sign it, comma, trustee.
Everything's good until it's not, though, guys.
That's it. Until someone questions it,
Right.
and then it has to be fixed.
Right.
In any case, it's not going to stop the sale. It may delay a half a day while they correct paperwork.
Yeah.
So
it is okay. It's not the end of the world, but the reality is that you should. This is why you watch this channel and people like Heidi and speak to us, because when you have those professionals on your side, we make sure that those T's are crossed and those I's are dotted for you, so that way you don't have to waste the time, waste the energy, waste the money on things that could have been just done properly in the first place.
And let's face it, if a real investor losing a half a day for paperwork can be a lot of lost revenue potential. So it's just
let's say that's the morning where your best deal in the entire world shows up and you're going to make a 500% return, because that happens every time. But let's just say if that's the case, right? So if you have the professionals on your side and making sure all that document is done correctly, you can be the one that takes advantage of that deal. But if not, how much are you really losing? How much is your time worth? I mean, really.
Perfect.
So I love it. Well, thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Always love having Heidi on. My name is Margene. I'm with eXp Realty.
And I'm Heidi Thompson with Lifeguarding Legacies.